I'm going to leave the lady issues to the ladies today, but I have to say, I still think it's a sad state of affairs when the most important thing in a woman's life is abortion.
Yep.
And you may be upset when a man says that, but somebody's got to speak for the unborn children if you're not.
I personally would not be upset or even confused or bewildered by a guy saying that, because a guy doesn't know what it's like to literally have your entire life changed, impacted by the fact that you are unable to make a decision about your own body. It impacts your life economically. It could impact your life in so many, health-wise, if you have a complication, but are unable to get an abortion because of how restrictive the laws are, depending on the state that you're living in. So it doesn't shock me at all that Greg Gutfeld doesn't understand why women would care so deeply about this issue that they would put this issue above everything else. The economic health of the country, immigration, all that stuff for a lot of women falls by the wayside when the government tells them, hey, you don't get to make a decision about your body, your future, your health. Yeah, women care about it a lot. They care deeply.
Yeah, I gotta say one thing, because I don't think it's that hard to understand if you're a guy, but that's why I'm amazed by Greg Gutfeld, who has no empathy at all for anyone else. So he's like, I don't get it. When it comes to guys, he's like, freedom, man, for freedom of speech. Republicans are all about freedom. I want the freedom to say racial slurs. I want freedom. It comes to women, like, this would affect their entire lives. Are they going to raise this child for 18 years and beyond? Is the trajectory of their life is going to be different? What if they suffered rape, incest, etc., whatever, all the different circumstances, besides which it's none of your goddamn business what they went through. It's their business and their decision and their bodies and their entire lives are on the line. And he's like, what's the big deal about their freedom anyway? Bunch of girls. And then you wonder why you have a giant gender gap and women don't want to vote for Republicans. Because you keep saying that they're irrelevant and useless and you don't give a damn about their rights. Gee, I wonder why they don't like you.
And by the way, before we get to other Fox News hosts and what they had to say about this issue, because he did get a lot of backup on this, including from women, unfortunately. Look, I mean, there's a gender gap on the Democratic side as it pertains to the male vote. And rather than trash men, as someone who delivers the news and does commentary and analysis, you know what I did? I went out of my way to understand what is it about male voters that are just totally turned off to the messaging from the Democratic Party, the policies from the Democratic Party. And look, to be fair, it is true. Liberals in this country for I don't even know how many years have been repeatedly talking about toxic masculinity, being masculine is bad, it's bad, it's bad, it's bad. Men feel like Democrats don't like them, that they're pariahs within the Democratic Party. That is a big reason why, okay?
Yeah, look, so I get it, and there is definitely some of that. Does that explain the entire gender gap of why males have been supporting Republicans more over the last 10, 20 years? No, that doesn't represent all of it.
It's not all of it, but I think that's a big
guys,
reason.
Let's keep it real, okay? So unfortunately, a lot of things are tribal. And so for the people who already have power, if they sense that they're losing power, they get upset about it. They don't think about it consciously. They don't think like, okay, I am a person who has more power than other people. Oh my God, now we're equal. That really bothers me. That's not how they think about it. But subconsciously, they're like, I like the way things were. Why are things always changing? There's so many immigrants in this town. When I was growing up, there wasn't that many immigrants. They didn't all look different, et cetera. And in the case of men versus women, now we have to care about their freedom and their rights. All right, okay, I guess we have to share and be equal. And yeah, it bothers some men. Is that all men? Of course not. It's not even close to the majority of men, but that is an issue. So there's different factors that affect men on how they vote. For women, I don't think it's as complicated. The Republicans say, we don't want you to be able to control your body or your lives. We want to control that with our big government. That makes it super clear. There's no complication there at all.
Now, Janine Pirro argues that, all these dumb women were just a little more educated, they'd know better. They'd vote for Trump over Kamala Harris or the Republican over the Democrat. Let's watch.
most important issue for women is the economy, followed by abortion, followed by immigration. Who is strongest on the economy? You can make fun of Donald Trump, but he at least explains more than Kamala Harris that we are sitting on gold and energy. And when we've got energy and we don't have to buy it from other countries, that we can use it to build things, to use it to develop things, to drive cars, to heat our homes, to make stoves, all that other stuff, he makes more sense than Kamala just saying we need an opportunity economy. And finally, when women talk about immigration, when you put the economy and immigration together, it beats abortion by 32 points. So what you've got here are women, sure, they're concerned about abortion, but if they were educated a little more than just this crazy dictum that comes from the Democrat women, they would understand that a lot of this isn't protected as it is. But women want protection for their families. They want to go to the supermarket and not have to put things back on the shelves.
I know we're gonna get a little sidetracked, but I can't help myself. I have to talk about the whole energy independence point that she made in that rant because it's wholly inaccurate. So we are the top oil producer in the world and also the top oil exporter in the world. We, by the way, do buy oil from other countries, including Canada, because the oil we produce, we can't refine. Did you guys know that? Our oil refineries can't refine our oil because the companies drilling for the oil don't want to invest in building the refineries that are necessary to refine that oil. And so as a result, and why do they do that? They want to provide a higher return to their shareholders, of course. Okay. And so we import a certain kind of oil from Canada, and we are the top exporter. And by the way, that's even more expensive to do, but so, and then we export more than any other oil producing country in the world. So like, you want to talk about go get educated? How about you go get educated?
Yeah, and so her thesis is, women, you shouldn't care about being able to control your own body or your own life. The government should make that decision for you, even if your life is on the line. But the thing that's really important is that we get the oil from under the ground and give it to ExxonMobil so they can sell it all over the world and have higher profits.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, I didn't know you were that educated, Janine. Okay.
Totally, keeps me up at night. All I think about all night long is, are we drilling enough for oil? I think about that before.
Is ExxonMobil making enough money? I don't know. Because you know, if there's one protector of women's rights in America, it's ExxonMobil.
Totally, yep. What a winner, what a winning argument. Reproductive rights isn't simply about being able to abort an unwanted pregnancy. Having control of your body means having control of your future, being able to make decisions about when you want to have kids, how you want to have kids, whether or not you are ready to have children. There's that economic factor of it. But there's also the factor of you don't know every instance in which a woman might need to get an abortion. And when you needlessly have these ridiculous restrictions in place, even when there are exceptions for when the woman's life is in danger or the future of her fertility is in danger, or there is a huge chance that she's gonna deliver a stillborn because of fetal abnormalities, it is ridiculous to hear from people like Janine Pirro and Greg Gutfeld question why women would prioritize this issue above all else.
Yeah, well, Greg Gutfeld's the expert on women's issues, so yeah, I'm gonna take his words really seriously. But go ahead. Look, this is the only reason why, if I'm being honest, and that's what we always do here, that the Democrats are still in the race. But keep digging that, into that wound and keep telling women that their bodies and their lives are irrelevant and they should shut up and vote for Trump. I bet that works out great for you.
Currently, 1 in 3 women and girls of reproductive age, around 21.5 million people, live in states which either completely ban abortions or do so after 6 weeks of pregnancy, which is effectively a ban. Okay, most women do not know that they're pregnant at 6 weeks. Abortion is the top election issue for young women in the 2024 election. That's why we see this gender gap, with around 40% now prioritizing their reproductive rights when they head to the polls. According to a survey conducted by Kaiser Family Foundation, this is a significant increase from last spring when this number sat around 20%. This should be a cakewalk for Democrats. I think that Pirro made one point I agree with, which is Kamala Harris is doing terrible in messaging in regard to her economic plans. People like to jump down my throat about that. Go ahead. She has pivoted completely to a pro-business message. She went from being popular with a more populist economic message to now losing support as she keeps talking about, oh, I want to provide access to capital for businesses. I want to provide bigger tax cuts for businesses. Okay, great. I mean, I could just vote for the Republican if I wanted that.
Look,
congratulations, Kamala.
There hasn't been that many elections where the rights of Americans have been this clear. And if you vote for Trump and the Republicans, they think that they should be able to take women's rights away, including the right to control their body, their reproductive rights, etc. And they just tell you, yeah, we don't think it's a big deal. We don't think you should have those rights. We think men who run the government should have the right to control your bodies and your lives. And we think you should shut up about the fact that you were taking away your rights. And Trump brags about taking away your rights. I got rid of Roe. I got rid of Roe, he says. So he's super proud about taking away your rights. And the Democrats say that they won't. You could disagree on many other issues, you could debate many other issues, but this one's crystal clear. One side's in favor of rights and freedom, and the other one is dead set against it. And that's the Republicans who hate freedom if it's women's freedom.
Hey, thanks for watching that video. We really appreciate it, guys. And we appreciate it if you become members, because that allows us to be independent, honest, progressive, all the things that you don't get from corporate media. And all of that is because of you guys. Hit the join button below and become one of us, become a young Turk.